So I want you all to take a look at this picture. Please just keep it in mind. You have to remember every aspect of this picture. Okay, so let's stop with the magic tricks and let's start with the conference. So I'm Cristina Cantero. I am co-founder of Alqua, a tech company that is specialized on digitalization of companies. We have a division for technology, and we also have a division as a digital agency for marketing, digital marketing, and all this kind of stuff. And today I'm going to talk about how startups are reinventing the digital strategy of big companies. How these little fishes are trying to beat these whales that are in the market and how they are doing it. But before, I want to tell you what is Alqua. This is our offices. We're in the middle of the jungle. That's in Madrid. Our headquarters are in Madrid. As I said before, we are a technological company. We were born with software as a service for media companies, so that they can track all the information from the web, from the social networks, so that they can produce content. So more or less, it's like you have the catalogs and you automatically create the catalogs. So we automatically create the content based on what the competitors are doing, what they are creating, and we create the content totally automatized. So we were born as a technology company, but we also pivot as we are a startup, and we also have a digital agency so that companies can come to us and tell us, I have no idea about what can I do with my digital marketing. So what can you do for me? So we have the technology and we have the agency, we combine everything and we create Alqua. As we provide very different services, we have a very different team. People from the team is very diverse. We have engineers in our Alqua Intelligence team. We have digital gurus in our digital marketing team. We have the pure design. They are the unicorns. They always have this creativity and they implement the design. And as we want to retain talent and we want people to come to our startup, and we are not Google or Spotify, we need to create something that can retain the talent. That's why we created Alqua University. So we have a university inside our startup, and this university, what we have is we all provide content to other employees so that we all can learn from others, and we are always in constant change because we are also executing and creating our own business model at the same time. So it's quite a huge challenge. Another very important part of our DNA, it's our methodology. So we start from a sector benchmarking. When we start working for clients, we do a benchmark of what is happening in the industry, but we also take other industries into account, and we also take some best practices to implement them on the strategy of the companies. As you all may know, sometimes in your industry you don't find what you need, but you can look at other industries to find those best practices and implement them so that you can be the first one in your industry doing this. We carry on very different products, from the development of the product to the strategy to getting all the data and doing all the benchmark. We also carry on social strategies, social networks. We do all the paid media, and we also do in the paid media. We, for example, work for Henkel. I don't know if you know this brand is for industrial products, and they wanted us to look for engineers that use their product Lactate. Lactate is this glue that you use for getting things together. So they wanted us to look for engineers in LinkedIn. So we made all a lead generation strategy. We work in many different industries, from banking, for example, here in Spain we work with Bankia, for airlines, also travel. The hotel industry really wants to get into the digital wave. We also work for fashion publishers. We work for the main media companies here in Spain, e-commerce, insurance. And today, like when Oscar told me that he wanted us to be here, I was wondering, okay, what can I tell you? How can I make a difference? And what can I talk about? So I was looking at different industries, like all the industries we work for. I was looking at fashion. Okay, fashion, if you got very good slides, then the conference is gonna be great. Okay, I looked at travel, but that was not very challenging. So I want to explain you a very strange case study and from a very old-fashioned industry, and how we reinvent this industry, and how other startups are getting in the wave and are changing the industry. So first of all, I think that all of you may have an insurance, but how many of you like to have an insurance? Any? Do you like to have this insurance? Do you like to have to pay for the insurance? Do you feel comfortable when you have this insurance? You may not. And this was one of the problems that the insurance industry is trying to erase. So today I'm going to talk about how the startups, the insurtechs that are the startups in the insurance industry, are reinventing the strategy of the big companies, of the big insurances, and what they are doing. So please take a look at this slide, how this is like the atmosphere, the ecosystem that goes for insurance. We have the traditional insurance that are the big ones and try really hard to stay in the game. We have the small insurance, the insurtech, they just went into the game. And we also have the e-commerce. The insurtechs are based on the e-commerce to develop their strategy. I want to take a look at the different case studies so that you can understand what I'm talking about. I want to show you how the big insurances are playing the game. They have very slow processes. They just go into the web, they just have a web page, and they go online. So come on, I am online, I'm digital, and that's not the game. That's not how we play it. They have very slow processes. They ask for unnecessary information. They also have only one product. Here it's just the same product but with different prices, so that the user don't really know what is the added value. And there is a lot of information in the web page. But please take a look at these ones. This is an insurance, that's an insurance, this is an insurance. All of them are insurances, and they don't look like them. You go on to Oscar, it's one of the best insurtechs worldwide. They have self-service dashboards. You go into them, and the first thing you get is get covered, feel better. So messages are really important when you come into the digitalization. Also the automatizations of processes. Before you were talking about the automatizations of catalogs, we also need to go into digital, but not only with a very beautiful web, but also with a back end, very automatized and very into the wave. So Lemonade, for example, they use artificial intelligence so that whenever you have a problem, their system with artificial intelligence is able to know what person can call to you and what person can do something for you. And also you can choose. This is more like a software, like you are trying to what type of software you want. So they really want to get into these different prices. And also they have viral initiatives. El Corte Inglés, I don't know if you really know it, but they are a huge shopping center here in Spain. And they developed also a very viral initiatives. They want to go into the insurtech wave, and they pay you if you walk. So they have this life insurance that if you walk more, they will pay you for that. Also, they have a lot of transparency. So transparency is everything in insurance. People don't really believe in insurance. They don't have faith in them. So transparency is one of the most important things there. But not only in the insurance, but in every industry now with the digitalization area. Also the mobile experience, you get into that and it's not really like an insurance app, but you really want to have a problem to just call them. Added value, the social spirit is not only about my company, my things, and this is my insurance, but it's also about you. And also customer-centered experience. Look at this web page. This is AXA. Axar has this very horrible web page with pink, red and stuff. But then you have Metromile that is like Airbnb. It's like you're getting into your holidays and you want to know what house you want to rent. But instead of that, you're trying to calculate the policy for your insurance. Before I was talking about Oscar. Look at this webpage. It's so simple. It's so like you really need to get that insurance. You really need to go there and okay, I want to get a code. I want to get covered and I want to feel better. They also have this thing, talk to a doctor in 15 minutes. So it's really quick. So you really want to call Mary and tell her that you have a problem with your knee or something like that. So it's this kind of change your mindset. They are always for you. Do you know what this reminds me too? It's like Apple. You go into an Apple store and you have all these boys and women dressed up with these t-shirts all in the same color. And it's like you're getting into Apple and you're trying to get your iPhone, but instead of that, you're taking your insurance. So it's this kind of mindset. I don't know if you're more or less taking the wave and what I'm talking about. Also, Lemonade. Look at and read this sentence. Forget everything you know about insurance. Okay, so there must be something different. It's something that you really never thought about. And then you have this pink button about check your price or watch the video. You also have this security that we're in Fortune, we're in Wall Street, we're in Forbes. So it's kind of doing things different and also presenting things different, packaging your product and getting into people from a different perspective. Before I was talking about how Lemonade works, they use the artificial intelligence to detect frauds throughout algorithms, and it's one of the most important things when you are trying to digitalize your company. It's not only about getting a very good color like pink. It's not only about getting a very good designer to make your web, but it's also about changing processes. So you have to change processes from the beginning. That's why big companies find it very, very hard to change because it's not, they don't have it from the beginning, but they have to implement it from startups. The startups were born like in a very diverse and changing environment, and big companies are really stable. And that's why startups are changing the game, and startups like Lemonade, like Oscar, are changing the whole insurance industry that may seem very old-fashioned and not very cool, but then you see a Lemonade or you see an Oscar and you change what you think about insurance. Before, I talked about the e-commerce trends and how they can be implemented in a very different industry, such as insurances. I want to talk about the on-demand model. What if we had an insurance that you can turn it on or you could turn it off? It exists. It's called Trust. The experience model. What if instead of just getting the insurance and just call them when you have a problem, you could get a package that you could have in your house, and whenever you buy an insurance, you get like this box, like the iPhone boxes. I don't know you, but I never throw out an iPhone box because they are so nice. Like you don't really want them to die in the bin. So that's the experience model. The customer support. Before I was talking about Apple. I think they are one of the best ones at customer. Then when your iPhone breaks, you don't really want to know what happens with the price, but they have a very good customer support. The reviews, like everyone is taking part in the game. So it's not only that, okay, I don't want to have the bad reviews on my webpage, but everyone is trying to help the company, and everyone is a constant, and you always have to improve. You really need to have a very easy checkout and also transparency. I don't know if you know this brand. It's an American brand. It's called Everlane. It's an e-commerce, and they were born as an e-commerce. Now they have stores all around the US, and it's for women. And their main slogan is radical transparency. They told you, like for example here, you have the Everlane t-shirt and a traditional retail. and they tell you every dollar that you pay, what goes for it. It goes for the factories, it goes for the shop, it goes for the designer. So you know what your money goes. So what if we could implement this to the insurances to every industry in the world? You can choose what you pay. So what if instead of just choosing your type of insurance, you choose the level of security you want to have in your house? So instead of just okay, I'm going to pay the basic, I'm going to pay the basic level of security. So I am the one that knows that, for example, if I have a very, very huge problem in my house with the security, I am paying the basic one, so that I cannot go to the insurance and tell them, okay, why there is a problem with this, because I am the one that knows that I'm not paying the premium one. And also the customer care, I want to really highlight this aspect, this feature, because it's really necessary in every industry to have a very good customer care team, that it's really with the people, with the clients, and that you feel very comfortable, so that you can have these bonds. Apart from technology, you can also have this human. And I wanted to show you a case. This is a chatbot that we developed for an insurance company. We are now creating a totally online insurance. I cannot show you a lot of it. It's going to be in Spanish, so I'm going to translate it a little bit. And this is a chatbot that whenever you go into a web and you want to calculate the policy, how much it will cost you, instead of just putting your name and also, okay, I live here and this is my zip code and this is what I want, you get this chatbot. Are you ready? This is Naima. Oops, sorry. So you put your name and the chatbot answers you. You put your direction and the chatbot tells you if it's a good or a bad area. You say what you have in your house and if you already have an insurance. You can personalize your insurance, and depending on the characteristics that you go into your insurance, you will pay more or less. You decide what you want to do. You can change your price. And as Amazon, you can choose other products, related products. You know what it includes and what it doesn't include. And you get your box into your house. So this is how insurance is working nowadays. And what we can learn from this lesson, from this case study, you have to learn fast and fail quickly. Yesterday, the conference, we were talking about that we have to fail. And this is one of the biggest principles, and one of the things that big companies don't really think about, but you have to fail. If you don't fail, you don't learn. So you have to fail quickly so you can learn fast. You have to think like a disruptor. You have to be the first one that goes into something, the first one that wants to change something. You have to focus on the customer, because if you don't focus on the customer, you won't be able to sell anything. And if you don't sell anything, you just have to close the business. You have to get into data. Nowadays we have a lot of data. We can even create products based on data. If we know that people that use Spotify, people that have a bank account in a fintech want to have a very different insurance, why don't we take all this data and we create a product for them, instead of just creating the product and having an MVP so that you can know if it works or not. And you have to create a strong identity, because when you have to change, when you have to be able to pivot, you have to have this identity so that you can be very hard, very strong, and you can change, but you can have all your principles. So if an old-fashioned industry like insurance has been able to change and is changing, instead of being annoyed as Mr. Incredible is being with Baby Jack, why don't we try to embrace them and become part of them, and so make startups become part of big companies? Why don't we take their way of thinking, their mindset, so that we can implement it in all of our ways of living in our company and in our processes? So thank you very much, and if you have any questions, be pleased to ask.